Hey, I see it's we're back again, folks. We're just gonna be sitting around here talking to you soon. We got a lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff took place this week, and we're gonna try and talk about it as best as we can. I'm in my usual spot, the beer cave. So it's kind of an adventure for me also. So I'm sitting in the car. I'm sitting in a Tesla as an Uber driver. And you know what that means? It's like when people get in the back of the car, they think I'm some sort of like I've gone through a divorce or something. Like I'm a deposed prince something. Yes, I'll have my country soon someday, but now I'm a Tesla Uber. Okay, let's welcome Mr. Mark Sweetman to take over the show. He's in slow motion, folks. He's got a brick wall behind him.
Hey, thank you very much. I'm Mark Sweetman, the host of the Off Night. But I hit the button. I'm supposed to hit. Here we go. All right. Yeah. Someday, all this technical.
Someday all this will pass
together, and I'll be able. No, that was supposed to smoothly end. That wasn't supposed to abruptly end. This is the worst. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, here's my lovely bride, Susan, who comes to us each week at introducing everyone else. So you want to read your poem?
Oh, okay. It's a little bit lengthy. A lot of news this week. You don't have to get out of the picture. Here we go. News. We need the teletype. All right.
Oh, sorry.
China's Wang Yi is in Russia while Biden's in Ukraine. Top diplomats talking while our world is in pain. Sadly, President Jimmy Carter has entered hospice care. Take comfort knowing Rosalind and his family are all there. A few more survivors in the rubble, a bittersweet discovery. Blinken pledges long-term aid to Turkey's earthquake recovery. $4.7 billion earthquake tax collected by the government of Turkey. Yet the money went where? The accounting's looking very murky. Just pay, but the earthquake gods didn't get the bribe in review and circumspection. The Istanbul prosecutor is now charging the reporters because they're asking questions. Where's the money, you hoarders? Syria is also suffering from the recent earthquake devastation. Insurgents fighting a war makes bringing aid a complication. A toxic train went off the tracks on Saturday in Belleville in Detroit. FEMA's checking the train's chlorine cargo near our water we exploit. Over a million railroad workers had jobs in the 1950s. Today, the positions are 150,000. Surprised there are derailments in our cities? Fed sending medical experts to East Palestine's train wreck site. Freight companies cutting back. Safety costs too much to do what's right. Nikki Haley announced she's running for the Republican nomination. Maybe Trump will give up politics and take a prison-type vacation.
Yeah.
In ancient Mesopotamia, a discovery. Its restaurants did not lack. A 5,000-year-old tavern is being excavated in Iraq.
Wow.
That's
it. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so that's the
I don't know
poem.
why you were feeling me up there, grabbing the mouse at the end of the poem. What was that?
Because Sam had gone off and gone back on the board, so I want to make sure he was still there. I do see Sam.
I haven't had that much accent all week. Thank you. I'll be here all night.
All right, thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate it. And that'll serve as our agenda. A lot of news. Okay, let's get Andy back in here. Hold on. First, I have to hit one button. Make sure it's the same one that it was last week. These things move all over the place on me. All right. Yeah, Jason still thinks if we bought the professional version of this, we'd have better luck, but I don't know.
You'd still be operating.
Yeah, it'd still be me operating it. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure that
the key. Doesn't matter doesn't matter how much money you put into the equipment. It's the key person behind it that matters. So you're the trainer. You know, it's like we got to improve you before the scene will work. But I like the brick wall.
What new news? We went and looked at last year's episode today because Susan was trying to find the poem that she wrote. We couldn't find it, so she looked at the episode to see what the poem was that was written, and it was you talking about how your play was done. And you were just very melancholy about the whole thing. It wasn't like, well, there were no reviews. They don't review plays anymore. It was kind of like theater isn't what it used to be, and thank God, type of attitude.
Yeah, so I was ranting.
So that's where we were a year ago.
So yeah, I can't imagine. I forgot. It's only been a year since that play has been gone. So
yeah. Year ago this week because we went back and watched the episode. Yep.
Wow.
Anyway, any news that before we bring out the other guys? Any news?
Just basically, the Tesla thing has been kind of a weird thing. As I was trying to explain in the beginning, people think I'm rich by feeling hard times. It's like so. I'm driving a Tesla and I'm driving for Uber. It's kind of messes up.
Do you get the Tesla because you're driving for Uber? That's why you get the Tesla?
Yeah, the Uber has an agreement with Hertz that if you have no car, they'll help supply a vehicle for you. And the Hertz, for some reason, has gone all Teslas. So it's all like Teslas and the Bolts, the BOLTs.
Hertz used to be all Fords.
Yeah, it was just interesting. But, Uber, I think, has become a controlling interest in it. But I can see why they want to do all electric because the maintenance on them is non-existent. Basically, there's no mufflers, there's no pistons, there's no engines, there's no oil changes.
Yeah, we've been talking. I don't know if you've heard the discussions among the UAW here in town, but they've been talking a lot about that because without all these gazillions of parts and the parts that go into making the parts, I mean that supply industry employs more than the actual auto manufacturers.
Yeah,
and so that these electric cars mean it's going to be a completely different ballgame here. So, I guess we're going back to farming, going back to our original commerce here in Michigan, back to farming.
Well, they'll still have brakes. The brake guys won't be in bad straits, or the tire guys will still be good.
Brake guys and the steering guys, and I'm guessing. Yeah. The people who do the dashboard displays will always be in business now because those are
digital
going to
guys
be animated all
yeah. All right. And it's like in the batteries, the battery guys, that'll always it'll make going into the mechanic real easy. So what do you think's wrong with it? Probably the battery. It's battery.
It's going to be like the computer tech support guy you used to call on the phone all the time. First thing they'll have you do is, did you reboot the car, and then let me know how it works.
Exactly. Check your connections. Oh, what? Fry myself? What are you crazy? It's like
Oh, and the fires that those electric cars have are just astounding. I mean, when there's no gasoline to burn, but it used to be it was only the gasoline that burned. That's why cars burned. Everything else was metal. They don't burn. They would melt because of the heat of the fire. But now with these electric cars, you got parts that burn.
The batteries are burning crazy.
And I'm at the
interesting thing. The batteries that are coming up in the future are going to be all solid, so it's not going to be like the any liquid at all, and it'll be almost instantaneous rebooting. So it won't be like you could just pull in just like you got a gas thing and zip it up,
So it'll take you as long to charge the battery it does to fill up a gas tank. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but about 5 years ago, come out with these new batteries.
Can you imagine the power though? If you somehow get in between the charge line in your battery by mistake. I mean, there's going to have to. We're probably going to go back to attendance, fueling station attendants, or something. So that
we'll probably have to. Yeah, because it's like
I would, or it'll all be automated. Where you just your car line up and you'll have these sensors that'll tell you when, or maybe even the gas or the fueling, whatever, the electric station will take control of your car as you pull up, and it'll position it to you, and you just stay in your car, and it loads it right in there.
Well, like they are talking about doing like pads, like you do with your phones. You put the phone on top of a pad. There's no actual connection.
Yeah.
So they're looking at something like that they can just pull in. It starts charging, and you pull out. Something like that.
We know how.
Actually,
I've also heard.
I think your idea of going back to people to handle it, because there's an interesting video of these two women who put an electric car into a gas. And they're trying to find the hole for the gas thing in the electric car, and it's like they almost put it into like the washer fluid section, where somebody kind of intervened. It was it was an actual video I saw. It was pretty scary. So yeah, I think electric cars are gonna have somebody be in attendance. So.
Well,
I don't know, man.
You have to make up for the fact that the electric cars in 10 years will all be driving themselves anyway, so they'll figure it out themselves.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Well, the drivers will be out of business. No problem. Okay, go ahead. Let's hear the other guys.
No, thanks. Yeah, thanks for your tour last week of your Tesla. But let's get our other guys out here. Another driver in Southeast Michigan who shares with us some of the trials and tribulations of the driver for hire life, but he's also a very funny comic. Here's Jason Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. And I don't have to
I did push the button. Oh, there he is. Okay.
There I am. I don't have to listen
to the
silent,
friend.
Tormented screams of the little children who are enslaved to dig the cobalt out of the ground with their bare fingers. I instead can console myself with the fact that this is run on dinosaur fuel, which, being a dinosaur guy, kind of fits in real nice with me. I'm good with it.
Got it.
My way of saying hello.
Good saying hello to you, pal. I appreciate that.
Well, that's just the reality.
Also, at least those kids will be able to breathe a lot easier because the carbon will be out of the sky.
Oh, God. And don't forget the lithium that's in that battery is also a key element that's used in making thermonuclear weapons. That's why when they do burn, they go up so good. Because they're jam-packed full of energy.
All right.
That's why we use it in only the fun. When you absolutely positively got to kill a living civilization, except no substitute, use an American thermonuclear weapon. It's good. It'll get the job done.
Okay, there you go.
You remember the old guys from SCTV?
He's a happy warrior. Ah, there we go, Jason.
Oh, always here to bring the mirth. I'm all about mirth.
That's right, folks. He's here to bring the happiness. Yeah,
I am the mirth merchant. Come on. Yeah, come on downstairs to the basement, or as I call it, the garden. And
we like to call him the Prince of Darkness, but
the mirth.
And now to complete our four corners, joining us every day from Manhattan, every Monday from Manhattan's Lower East Side. Here he is. You love him, you know him, Sam Greenfield, ladies and gentlemen.
By the way,
let me say that as someone who has not had a car since 1909, I want to tell you that automotive repartee between you and Andy was, I think the word is riveting. I wanted to rivet my skull to a wall.
That's another thing we don't have are rivets. We have no rivets anymore. There's no thing of rivets in the car.
Yeah, there's no more rivets. You're right.
Really? Give me a moment. I'll get you one.
Hey, Sam, I found a clip of you on YouTube. Where was that taken? That thing?
That was in Boston, That was in a suburb of Boston, Massachusetts. The host was Michael McDonald. Not the one from Canada, but Michael McDonald.
Right.
And he's a very unusual guy in that he's a wonderful comic, but easily one of the most irascible, ill-tempered people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's one of the few people. He may be the only comic that who's ever said to me, "I don't want to be on your Facebook anymore." And I went, "Thank you, God, and took him off. Just, oh man. But he was very his intro was terrific. But
Yeah.
if you disagree with him on something, or let me rephrase that, if he disagrees with you,
yeah,
you're a memory. Frank Santarelli, who gets along virtually with everybody, won't talk to him, and he's just one of those guys. Oh, by the way, did anyone see what Marjorie Taylor Greene said about wanting the red states to divorce the blue states?
Oh, she's it's on. Fort Sumter.
Yeah, she had said that once. She had said that once before, I think.
Yeah, she's ready.
If that's true, if that's what she wants, then she has to give up her House seat right now.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
No, if she doesn't want to be part of this country, then give up your House seat. Okay, you fascist bitch. Right now. Right now, you Nazi-loving twat. Right now. Your breath smells like wolf dick. Okay? Right now.
Sam, you're renowned for pulling your punches and sort of softening your words.
I try to be subtle in my approach.
Yes.
But I'm getting the feeling that you're not a fan. You just don't like this one.
I'd like to put her into a fan.
There you go.
No, the guy who ran the YouTube channel, I found you and a bunch of other people, and it's all like sort of mid 80s, and must have been well shot.
1986.
Yeah, the videography was pretty good, and it was just interesting to see not only you but a lot of other people who were coming through. Who this was it looked like just kind of an open mic thing, and I'm like, oh my god, look at all these people, coming out for 5, maybe 10-minute sets.
Yep. Like a 10 to 12 minute. It was Michael had a TV show. That was a TV show.
Okay. All right.
And that's what that was. And he, it's like most comics on TV. Hey, would you like to do a TV show? Yeah. It doesn't pay a dime. I'm there.
All right. Yeah. So Mark,
I'm right there.
You were doing things on a contemporary sort of nature. I mean, because you mentioned that you were out in Boston right around the same time. No, I just, again, it was just really, I'd forgotten how much fun it was. It was great fun. There were some great comics. Jimmy Tingle, Michael McDonald, Dennis Leary, Lenny Clark, Steve Sweeney, Kenny Rogerson. There's one guy, I wished I could remember his name. He's kind of a big, sort of goofy looking guy who plays guitar really, really well. And
DJ Hazard.
Chance Langton. Chance Langton and
DJ Hazard.
Yeah, and he just does this thing about, people who don't sing like you think they would. He plays the guitar, does a nice little thing, and then just starts sort of like, barking at the microphone, and you know where the joke is going, but he delivers it so well. It's funny. It's just
the funniest thing that Chance ever did. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was funny. He put out an album, right? And so comics in Boston were looking at each other like this. Have you seen Chance? Have you heard Chance's album? Yeah, like that. So yeah. So I think it was Santarelli said to him, Chance, how's the album going? And he said this with all seriousness. He goes, the industry has accepted it.
Chance had my favorite Chance Langton line, and I'm hoping it's his because I've heard it so many. It's become hacked now. Everybody I've heard use this, but Chance was the first guy that I heard say, remember Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive? Whatever happened to her?
Oh, that's funny. That's very
good.
Funny.
That's good. Yeah.
Well, I think I told you about that terrible thing that happened to him. I don't mean like a tragedy, but he was doing an HBO audition. I think I told you this, and he had this routine where he said, in what was it? In LA they say groovy, and in Florida they say what's up, brother, and in New York they go how you doing. Here in Boston, we have another saying.
Yes,
shut up.
Shut up. That's the guy with the guitar. Yes, that's him.
Right.
Yeah.
So he goes on stage, and he says, he gets through that whole thing. He goes, in Boston, and a guy yells out, "Shut up!" and just destroyed the bit. The guy who yelled out just destroyed the bit. And after it was all over, Chance looked at me and said, "If I kill him, will you testify for me?" And I said, "If you hadn't asked me, I would have testified for you."
Who was the comic? And I don't think he was that well known because he didn't do nationally. I think he was just a regional guy somewhere in the middle of the country. But that took his guitar and whacked the audience member. I mean, it was a video that went viral. Did you ever see that?
No.
I'm trying to think. In Boston?
No. This would have been between Chicago and Denver. Like, I don't know if it was in Texas or, one of the Minnesota tours or Kansas City out of, the guys that booked out of Kansas City. He was a short guy, played a guitar.
I don't remember it, but I don't remember who it was, but I remember that happened. I don't remember. I don't remember the guy.
I can find it. I'll put it up if I can.
Do you remember a guy who got his leg broken on stage?
What the hell happened there? Someone come up on?
Yeah, buddy. Someone came up and they got, huh? Yeah, and the thing that's funny about it was he was to the right of. He was such a right winger. He made conservatives who came to the show feel uncomfortable.
Wow, was it sort of Dick DiPaolo kind of?
No, because it was like, yeah, I'm on your side, but I'm here to watch a comedy show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So who had the more aggressive audiences then, New York or Boston?
Say again.
Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore was the name of the comic who smashed his guitar over the audience members.
Never heard of him.
Let me see if I can find the clip. Keep it discussing. Discuss amongst yourself.
The more, can find the clip. The more aggressive audiences, Boston.
More aggressive?
Yeah, because I always think of New Yorkers as
it depends on what section. I'm not trying to avoid the question, or not answered. It depends on what section of Boston you're talking about. If you're talking about Southie, those people eat their young. Okay, yeah, so so it depends. If you're talking about downtown Boston, they were great audiences. But Jonathan Katz and I did a thing in Southie, which was the racist enclave. It was the Alabama of Boston.
Yeah.
And that night that we were playing together, and by the way, two Jews in Southie was some sadist's idea of a booking. Yeah. Oh, look, Katz in Greenfield. Yeah, that'll work. And yeah, that'll go over big. And so what happened that night? Boston lost a playoff series to I think Detroit. Detroit. And so I said, well, we lost. We my ass, but we lost tonight. But maybe next year. And some guy knows. Yeah, where the fuck are you from? What does that mean? And this guy had a cousin in the audience. Guy had a brush crew cut. He looked like he had an IQ of 15, which after he spoke was 8 points too high. And this is what this guy did. The guy with the idiot. He'd go like this, like every 8 minutes he'd go. And they just thought that was the funniest fucking thing. So I looked at the guy and I said, "Who writes for you?" And and they go, "What does that mean?" I go, "Who writes for you? What does it mean?" And so the owner of the club is looking at me going, "Don't say too much more, okay? Just kind of let it slide and do a Jew joke and get the fuck off the stage. If you know any black jokes, this would be the time."
Mildly racist humor just might be the ticket for that one.
Yeah. I covered Sammy Davis's right good eye, and he fell into a ditch. That kind of thing. Just something like that. And so I called the booker, and he picked up the phone. This is before you had caller ID. He picked up the phone, and without me saying a word, he went, "I am so sorry." I said, how did you know it was me? He said, I could sense the anger. And I said, I'm really not angry. I just, I'm just, I'm not angry. He said, you're not angry? I said, no, but I do think you're stupid. I can't figure this out. Why would you do that? What was it? The Most Brothers weren't available? Christ.
Oh God. I mean, the worst that's ever happened to me is I've had a couple people in the audience look on to me with shock, horror, and pity all at the same time when I'm going through one of my less than sets about abortion or something like that. But I've never had anyone come on stage and try and physically get in my face, but back then, I mean, there was a lot of transgressive humor going on. I mean, there was a lot of folks saying stuff that, could get you. Well, like you guys apparently did get hurt. I mean, you said you had the one guy got his leg broke. I mean, what the heck happened here? Someone just had enough, or?
He was an older comic. I don't mean old like 65, but he was like, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s. And this is in the late 80s, early 90s. He hated Clinton, hated him, not disagreed with his policies, and made no bones about saying it. And we were working together in Las Vegas. And I said, why do you find it necessary to do that? He says, because we're in Vegas, and Vegas is very conservative. I said, listen, I have a radio show here. I'm a liberal. I do very well here because people who call me, they'll say, Sam, how could you think that way? But they engage me with a certain sense of civility. And what you're doing is not civil. Assassination jokes aren't funny.
No.
Things like that. Yeah. Mrs. Clinton killed Vince Foster, that kind of thing. Okay, she did, but that's not the point.
Well, hey guys, I got the clip of Kenny Moore with the guitar attack. I'm gonna see.
Let's watch it, baby.
Get it up.
All right, let's see if you can technically do it. It's a big moment for Mark.
Okay, we're gonna.
Can you do it?
Yeah,
I'm a nervous wreck.
Now this is an old VHS tape. It's an old VHS tape. So we'll see how well I can do this.
Okay.
Here, can you see?
This is almost as good as me and Jason talking about cars. I'll tell you that.
Well, the mills of the gods grind slowly but fine.
Here we go. There's something happening.
All right, here we go.
Something's happening.
Excitement reigns and snows and sleeps.
I've seen before, and it's not the funnest part. So
have I lost
circling thing?
You guys know?
No, it looks like we're preparing to see to play asteroids or something. I don't know.
Looks like an ad for Mass Casualty.
All right. Sharing YouTube to StreamYard. Good. Okay, I got that part. Can you see anything?
We still have the 3 people in the audience?
So we probably
did.
We probably shouldn't have had Mark operating the transporter, trying to get Kirk out of the other spaceship as it goes into the maw of the giant planet killer rutabaga that was the monster that week.
Yeah, that was right.
Probably shouldn't have done that.
This is like when the spaceship enters the black hole in Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Galaxy Quest.
The only really good Star Trek movie.
God, I love that movie.
Oh, great. You guys don't believe in Gilligan's Island is real. Like, those poor people. Did they ever get off that island?
I'll tell you, there's a movie that Will Smith did, which I thought was the best thing he's ever done in his life. Hancock.
Haven't seen it.
Man, he plays an alcoholic superhero. I mean, a bum. The superhero is a bum. He can fly. He has superhuman strength, but he's an alcoholic. He's a bum. And what's his name? I can't remember this guy's name. Jason Bateman plays a PR guy,
right?
Who wants to resurrect.
You're talking about Will Smith, right?
Yeah, who wants to make Hancock more palatable to people. Like he does stuff like there's a beached whale. He takes the whale by the tail and throws it 500 feet and destroys a ship. And destroys a
Yes, I remember that.
And destroys a ship, a Greenpeace ship.
Yes, exactly. Just like the French did back in the 80s. God.
Exactly.
God, I remember
my favorite line in the movie is this woman goes, "You reek of alcohol." Well, I'm drunk, bitch. and then there's some guy says, "Somebody ought to sue you." Yeah. And the guy's big and heavy and he goes, "Yeah, well, you ought to sue McDonald's because they fucked you up."
Oh, damn. Yeah. That's about to say. So,
but here, the key to the movie is that Charlize Theron plays Jason Bateman's wife. I'm not giving anything away. The movie's 15 years old. She is also a superhero, and she and Will Smith were married like 300 years ago. Literally. And she has done everything in her power to avoid him because she wants a real life. And it's a terrific movie. I mean, it's got Charlize Theron, Will Smith, Jason Bateman, Johnny Galecki. Yeah. Eddie Marsan, the English guy. It's really good.
Okay.
What's the name of it?
Hancock.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen. Yeah, I know that. I know that film.
Yeah.
Because I'm drunk, bitch.
Sorry for trying to do something technical here. I apologize.
Well, like I say, these things happen. Yeah,
we know you have we know that you got that wonderful brick background, so that's really good.
I was wondering if that was like sort of a tribute to Belzer and all the other.
I think it's enough. Mark, I think it's just enough to say you tried.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now drop it.
Thank you. Now, if I could only get that from my wife, just enough that I tried.
Well, I liked when she said, that's the most action I've gotten in a week, and I go, a week? We measure it in decades. God.
Oh my God.
Oh, I remember that part of your body. Yeah.
Yeah. The all-time line on that is still from Annie Hall when the therapist, they're doing the side-by-side therapy sessions, and the therapist says, "How often do you have sex?" And she says, "Oh, all the time, 3 times a week." And he goes, "Hardly ever, only 3 times a week."
I love that. I love that. That is so great. Well, that's like in what movie? I forget what movie. Oh, Harry and Tonto.
Yes.
When Art Carney says to his old friend, the Russian guy, and he says to him, "When was the last time you had sex?" And he goes, "Oh, let me see. It was let me see. What's this? May? It was April 10th, 1952."
Oh, yeah. Memories.
He should have never. I love Art Carney, but he should have never won that Oscar.
Well, who was he up against that year?
How about Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon?
So it's what?
Oh
74?
My God!
Yeah. 74.
Wow.
74.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look.
I'm
gonna look up that list.
They gave Al Pacino an Oscar for maybe the worst movie I've ever seen him do.
What?
Scent of a Woman. Scent of a Woman.
Yeah,
no.
That was
he didn't win for Serpico. He didn't win for Dog Day Afternoon.
You see that he had that Richard Burton problem where every time he's nominated, he's up against
a sentimental favorite.
Yeah,
he didn't win for Godfather 1. He didn't win for Godfather 2. I mean, come on, Jesus.
Paul Newman didn't get an Oscar for Cool Hand Luke, which is one of the greatest movies
or
ever
HUD.
made.
Or HUD.
or HUD, which he that scene with him and Pat Neal.
Yeah,
It-
and
it's
she
one of
won
the-
an Oscar.
Yeah, and she deserved
Mhm.
it because she does some of the best acting in that movie.
Yeah.
Really quiet,
And
very
Melvin Douglas
internal.
won an Oscar for that.
Yep.
Again, what he rips your heart right
Yeah.
out of your chest. They give him a couple of
Hey,
lines, and that's all he needs. He growls here and there, and that's exactly what was called for in the script.
Hey, HUD.
Yeah,
And he didn't win for Cool Hand Luke.
he did not
Yeah.
win for Cool Hand Luke, which
He was-
I remember renting that movie the night before I had to report to the Michigan Department of Corrections. So me and a bunch of friends got together.
that's
We rented.
That's a memory.
perfect.
We
That
rented
is
Cool
perfect.
Hand Luke, and it's like, yep. Well, guess who's going to prison tomorrow? Yeehaw! Got to be at the county jail at 8 a.m. and stayed up getting pretty drunk and pretty high.
Did you
strangely enough, no coke.
did you get a nickname when you got inside?
No, just the easy fat guy. I mean, I don't know if that's a nickname
Got
or
it.
not. I think that's more of a reputation when they're using 3 words as opposed to just one. I mean, what can I say? My little tour of the North, compliments of, and now the state of Michigan is one of the biggest drug dealers in the Midwest. They have a $9 billion surplus coming from the taxes from the drugs they now allow to be sold. But me selling 2.5 grams of cocaine to a police officer, I deserved the time I got because I was stupid to sell to a cop. I deserve time for being stupid. Selling
Sam,
coke,
I got the
don't
list.
know.
I'm sorry.
I got the list. Who Art Carney beat in for 1974 the Oscar? Ready?
Okay.
Dustin Hoffman in Lenny.
Oh my God, that was a great movie.
Albert Finney in
Jesus.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
Oh
Al
man.
Pacino in The Godfather Part 2.
Oh,
And Jack Nicholson in Chinatown. Art Carney beat.
Wow.
They
Christ.
canceled each other out. Those 4 canceled each other out. And
Yeah.
Art
And
Carney won the
Jack,
award.
Well,
Jack
that's-
did not get an Oscar
That's what
for
happened
that.
with that's what happened with Midnight Cowboy. They nominated Dustin Hoffman for Best Actor. He should have done Best Supporting Actor. And
Right.
did I? Yeah. Midnight Cowboy. Yeah. And and then he and John Voight canceled each other out, and they gave it to that All-American.
Oh, we lost Sam.
Oh no!
Apparently the Oscars,
No.
Oscars didn't want him to tell.
No.
I think the Oscars are watching us. They didn't want him to tell. There we go.
So he's
Never
been
mess with
censored.
variety. That's what they want to tell you. Never mess with variety, pal.
Oh man. Well,
Here he comes. He's back. I'll put him right up. I'll put him right in.
I'm sorry.
Here we
Yeah,
go. Here he comes.
John
Here he
Wayne
comes.
won the Oscar for True Grit.
Well, yeah, I don't know. John Wayne was always just John
So
Wayne.
who was
Didn't
it?
matter. I mean,
So who was it?
Sam, you cut off just as you're going to say who won.
Say
John
again.
Wayne?
I said, Sammy, you got
John
cut
Wayne
off.
beat out
just-
Dustin Hoffman and John Voight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
for
True Grit?
True Grit.
True Grit, yeah.
That's correct.
That was
And
was
John
that
Voight won. John Voight won for Coming Home.
Yeah, that was 73 or 70. No, 76 or 77. Yeah,
No, I know exactly when that was. That was in 1978.
70. Okay, why? You were
Yeah.
graduating then?
Because I know that I was dating a significant other at the time.
See what's the second. That's a tough film to watch anymore, though. It's all very.
It is. It's like Deer Hunter. I've seen it precisely once, and I will never be able to watch it again.
Bruce
And,
Dern was the best in Coming Home. Bruce Dern was awesome.
Oh man.
Well,
Yeah.
Dern is a great actor. I mean, he got a reputation for being hammy and whatnot, but I mean, no,
Yeah.
I mean, he's in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Yep.
He's the guy who gets his head cut off.
He was great in
Black
Running
Sunday.
Has anybody seen
Silence
Nebraska? Anybody seen Nebraska?
with,
Right. Stacey
with,
Keach
with Will Forte, that Nebraska.
Yeah.
and Stacey Keach. Yeah.
And what's his name is the grandfather.
No, that's
Yeah.
right.
And he plays the
Bruce
freaked out
Dern.
Vietnam vet in Black Sunday, which again
Yep.
is a better movie than
He was-
it gets credit for.
Hey, and my favorite was the sci-fi movie
Silent Running.
Silent Running, which
Yeah.
again
He did a brilliant job in that.
he did
That was
in
great.
a movie that cost $750,000 to make, shot aboard a soon-to-be a decommissioned American aircraft carrier. I think Dykstra volunteered his help on the models. That's how low budget that.
Who was
that
the
movie
director?
was.
Who directed that?
I forget who directed it. That might have been Dark. Did Dykstra direct it? I can't remember.
We're gonna find.
I don't know who the director was.
But it's a great movie.
Yeah,
We're gonna
It
find
is
out, my
great-
friends. We're gonna find out right now.
That was one of those perennial Saturday midnight movies that
yeah.
you'd drop 2 hits of Purple Barrel Acid and go watch.
Well, that was
You
the one
remember
in
Purple Barrel
and
Acid?
A Boy and
Yeah.
His Dog.
Yeah,
You watched that and A Boy and His Dog.
yeah, that was another great. She didn't have really good taste. Best closing line ever.
You know the movie. You know the movie Moonstruck with Cher.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she did deserve that Oscar. She was great. But there's a line in that movie I will never forget. It's when Olympia Dukakis, who also won an Oscar for that,
Yes.
says to her father-in-law, "Old man, you give any more of my food to those dogs, I'll kick you till you're dead."
I love Cher more in the movie with Meryl Streep,
Silkwood.
Silkwood, where she plays the lesbian, dressed down, no makeup.
Dolly
You guys ready?
Pellicer.
Yeah.
I got the Silent Running page up. You guys ready?
All right, we're ready. Hit me.
Directed by Thomas Trumbull.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Tommy.
But there were
Trumbull.
wait a minute. There were three credited writers of the film. One I never heard of before, Derek Washburn. Ever heard of Derek Washburn?
Right.
No.
But the other two were Michael Cimino and Stephen Bochco.
I have heard of those two.
Well, Bochco was Hill Street Blues.
Hill Street Blues and LA Law.
And NYPD Blue.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No,
And
not
Cop
LA
Rock.
Law. No, he
And
was
Cop
not LA
Wasn't
Law.
LA
No.
Wasn't he responsible for Cop Rock, or am I
He sure
wrong?
was.
Yes, he was. I don't think he wanted to talk about it, but yeah.
Well,
And Cimino was Deer Hunter. And what was that terrible movie he did with Chris Christopherson?
That was Heaven's Gate. And it is one of those movies that had someone been able to rein him in, had he had a director or someone, the movie's beautiful, but it's a terrifyingly bad movie. You can't make any sense of it. No one can sit through it.
The thing is, one of the reasons some directors don't want to work with Disney is because they rein them in.
Yeah.
You need it.
The Disney people rein you in, and they don't want to be reined in. Sometimes they need to be.
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't fly the entire crew out to Venice? No.
No.
Terry Gilliam is one of those directors.
You send the second unit out, you get the shots you need. That's it. Yeah.
Well, that's why. That's why
good night.
Coppola,
That's right.
That's why Coppola had to open his own film studio and go bankrupt with it.
Yeah. Well, but William Friedkin was doing a nice question and answer session, and he was asked about losing a movie, losing control. He says, "Hey, you fuck up, you pay a price." And Friedkin, who has a reputation for being a difficult man, but he's directed some of the best movies, some of the highest grossing movies ever.
French Connection.
The Exorcist. He started out doing a documentary that got a wrongly convicted black man off death row in Illinois in the 60s.
And To Live and Die in L.A.
Which is amazing. It is the best 80s movie of all time.
Great film.
So Friedkin knows a thing or two. A Sorcerer, which is a film that he doesn't get credit for.
Oh wow, that was a great one. That was a remake of
a French film.
Yeah, it was
Wages of Sin.
Wages of Sin.
Wages of Sin.
As long as
I just thought of something.
No, it wasn't. I thought it was Wages of. Maybe Wages of Sin. I don't know.
I thought it was Wages of Sin. But yeah.
As long as we're talking about shows, is anybody watching Poker Face?
No.
Yes.
No.
It is. Yes. It is formulaic storytelling, but it is. It's like Murder, She Wrote meets Columbo type of thing. It is.
Well, I like it. I like it because I'm thrilled that Natasha Lyonne is back.
Oh, she's
Mhm.
real good. She's
After she had
really,
such a horrible run of bad luck and drugs and all, and she has redeemed herself, as a person, not
Mhm.
just as an actress.
But what's great about that character, though, is that character is so flawed. You know what I mean? She's got that. She's
Is
Well,
got
who
that.
would know
sneaky
better how to
gift.
do it than her?
Exactly.
this a network show or is this on a streaming
It's
service?
No.
It's on Peacock.
Who's
But
It's on
Peacock is
Peacock.
free. You can
It's on
download
NBC?
that.
I'll look it up because that
Alright.
one doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
Have to,
I'll
I don't
throw
think you
this
have
out.
to buy their premium.
No, you can see it with commercials, and it won't
What's
cost
that?
anything.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
can
I'm
see it
gonna
with
throw this.
commercials, and
Yeah,
it
I
won't
think
cost anything.
I'm gonna
I
throw
was-
this out.
There's a free version.
Wednesday on Netflix.
What's that
Basically,
Wednesday?
it's directed by Tim Burton, but it's basically Wednesday Addams
Oh,
goes
Wednesday,
to
Wednesday Addams.
high
Yeah,
school. It has one of the better lines. It's really well done, and the girl is really good, and she has one of the better lines I liked. It's like when somebody asks me to write what I know, that just shows that I have a lack of imagination.
yeah.
When I was in college,
Fred Armisen is great as Uncle Fester too.
Oh, he's excellent. Oh, he's great.
who
Yeah.
was it? Who played Fester?
Fred
Fred
Armisen
Armisen.
in the new
Ah.
Wednesday.
Oh, that's a beautiful casting.
When
Yeah.
I was in college, I had a professor who it was an American history course, and the question he asked was, "Tell everything you know about the French Indian War." And I took a big gamble, and I wrote, "Well, I know nothing," and he gave me an A.
Well, he did ask you to write everything you know.
Everything you
And
know.
he said it was his screw up for asking a question with that was an absolute.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because if you've ever noticed, professors ask questions like compare and contrast.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
They
Yep.
never ask tell all you know.
Yeah.
And I said, a friend of mine said, "What was your answer for that?" I said, "I wrote I know nothing." He went, "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" I said, "Well, that's a separate question. That's a totally separate question."
Yeah.
He said,
Well, that
That wasn't the essay question.
do you guys remember
No,
from the
no.
first season of Saturday Night Live where they used to have the two guys talking while they played Pong? It was two guys doing a voiceover and they were playing Pong back and forth, and one of them was given a similar situation where the professor said, "You're given a barometer and you're told to determine the altitude of a building." He goes, "Well, it was real easy. I just wrote down that I'd take the altimeter and give it to the super if he would tell me how high the building was." He gave me partial
That's
credit
funny.
for it.
That's funny.
The
We-
first
you remember-
season of SNL was actually really, really kind of fun.
SNL had
Robert-
had two bits that I wish they still did, and I don't understand this because the writer NBC owns this. One is Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy,
Yeah.
but they own it, so Jack Handy can't do that anywhere else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Only
Yeah.
Well, that's like when Letterman went to CBS, he couldn't do something that was intellectual property of NBC.
viewer
Yeah.
mail. Isn't that ridiculous?
Well, was he
Yeah,
able to take? Was Larry Bud Melman given a different name at that point? Because
Calvin
DeForest.
DeForest.
Yeah.
but
His real
character-
name.
I think one of it was the Pets, and one of them was the top 10 list.
Yeah, no, the viewer mail was the one they had to call it CBS Mailbag because viewer mail was owned by NBC. If you can believe the term viewer, something generic as viewer mail was owned by NBC. But the other one that SNL did that I thought was great and would still be good is Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill was amazing.
Yeah,
that was Michael O'Donoghue.
Yes,
I know.
Yeah.
Who was he is a dark comic genius who died at like 1980. I mean, he was a young man.
Michael O'Donoghue sent someone the following. I can't believe he did this. The following card. "Sorry to hear you lost your mother. Did you look behind the couch?"
Oh.
You see, he falls in that category almost.
He was in it. Michael O'Donoghue was in another great Woody Allen scene where he goes, did you read the story in the New Yorker about the satirical piece that really lampooned the Nazis in New Jersey? And Woody Allen, his character, I think Alvy Singer, whatever his character's name was, he goes, I think we should go over there with some baseball bats and teach them what's
and
what.
show them what it's all about. And show them what it's all about.
Show them what it's all about.
And he says, "No, it was a very witty piece." He says, "Yeah, that's great, bricks and bats. That's
That was Michael O'Donoghue in that scene.
Was they didn't O'Donoghue also have a role in writing the Groove Tube, or am I wrong about that? Because he was.
I don't remember.
Well, Belzer was also part of the Groove Tube. Chevy Chase was also part of the Groove
Chase
Tube.
was on the Groove Tube. I mean,
so those guys, that was one of the guy who put together SNL. He was also
Lorne Michaels.
Lorne Michaels.
Yeah.
And there was talk. That was where they were talking about Belzer joining, but he was going to join as a writer. Other than that, it wasn't going to be anything else.
Well, in Groove Tube, the penis was Belzer's.
You're kidding me.
No.
Oh God. Damn.
Nice.
A proud moment for any Jew.
Yeah. Well, you guys still have Ron Jeremy. I mean, that's saying something.
He's in jail, isn't he? Isn't Ron Jeremy in jail?
Yeah, but look at the career he's had. I mean, come on.
He's not going to be prosecuted because he's totally mentally gone. So they're going to probably put him into a institution.
There are women in porn who wouldn't work with him because he stinks.
What does that mean? Have you seen his?
You're talking about acting, or is
no? If only I was talking about acting. No.
Yeah, well,
I like that he had the nickname the Hedgehog. That one.
Yeah.
Can I tell you where he made a lot of money? A lot of money. He would go to colleges, and every Jewish kid on the planet would go to see him.
Oh, yeah.
That's the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Every Jewish kid on the planet would go to see him. They couldn't get enough of him.
I can't use it now because it's out of season, but my comic remark about going out dressed as Ron Jeremy for Halloween is a winner. That's a great joke.
That's funny.
Yeah. What did you go on as? I said Ron Jeremy. And the more deadpan you can deliver it, the better.
I always wanted to go to a costume party naked and backwards with a Parker House roll on my ass as a bun. You hear what my wife just said? Oh, what? Honey, you don't need the costume. You hear that universal laughter, honey?
Yeah.
It landed. Yeah, that was nice, honey. That was good, you tramp whore. Yeah, that was good.
You guys know that Sam's wife is a comic too, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. She had a bad run of luck because she got sick and had to stop. But she was terrific. My favorite joke of hers. She had a lot of good ones. But my favorite joke of hers was, what was it like at Ted Kaczynski's house for Christmas? You open it. No, you open it.
I caught an interview with Elaine Boosler. This was, they had to be taped in the mid-90s, but she was talking about the very early days, like in the early 70s, when she was an MC and didn't know what she was doing and would often have to MC for 15 or 20, 30 minutes because people behind the scenes didn't know what they were doing. But that's how she learned her craft. That's how she got funny, and obviously she became very funny. But she said one night, Richard Pryor had been brought in. He'd come in with a bunch of people. He had a little table there, and she's up there trying to do an act. And Pryor had the good taste to, when she was finished, to stand up and say, "Let's give a big hand for the lady up there." And then she got a big
that
hand
was
from
very
the house.
classy.
And yeah, that's what I mean. It was like, showing Pryor, not necessarily coked out of his mind and shooting up his own Rolls Royce, but being a real mensch, and that
was very, very classy of him.
Yeah. And again, I think she goes on to, she's the first one. She gets an hour-long set. She has it filmed, and HBO doesn't want anything to do with it. They were just at the beginning of the whole comedy.
Right,
Robert
the comedy boom. The boom.
Right,
she sold it to somebody else, though, right? Didn't she go to Showtime or something?
She eventually did, yes, get it sold, and it turned into a huge hit.
Yeah.
And she's sort of like, "Dear HBO, please go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself vigorously. Fuck yourself till you bleed. Die, rot in hell."
Well, she knew that.
Worst Christmas card ever.
Chris Albrecht was the head of HBO. When they started the comedy division at HBO, it was Chris Albrecht.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, she eventually got sold, but
she knew the guy.
I'll tell you what happened to her at Caroline's. she was headlining, right? And this is one of the reasons that I think Caroline's is the luckiest comedy club ever. As Chris Rock said, you can't have a better location than to be at 50th and Broadway. You cannot.
shit.
That's as good as it's going to get. Okay, and that's
Right.
part of the reason they did so well.
Didn't they start at Seaport?
Huh?
Didn't they start at Seaport?
No. They started on 8th Avenue and 26th Street. Then they moved to the Seaport.
Okay.
Then they moved to Midtown.
Okay.
But so Elaine Boozler's the headliner, right? And whatever genius did this should be shot. They bring up what's his name? Emo Phillips.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Emo Phillips is supposed to do 10 minutes and he does 45.
oh
Wow.
boy.
Oh, wow.
So Elaine, and this is one of the reasons I admire her. Elaine did 15 minutes, thanked the audience, and got off stage. And the manager said, "What the hell are you doing?" She said, "Well, Mr. Phillips did my time. And in fact, you can pay him."
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "We're going to fire you." She said, "No, you're not. You're not going to fire me because you did something stupid. No, I'll be back
Right.
tomorrow. And if you don't put me on, I'm going to be back the next day with my lawyer." And they're just such pussies. They just folded like a goddamn deck chair. "Oh, we're really sorry." And one of the things I like about her and other comics, once you know you have the edge on them, don't let up. Okay.
Yeah.
"So we're really sorry." "I don't give a
Yep.
shit if you're sorry.
Yep.
Just shut up and leave me alone."
Okay. I
Right.
remember that.
And by the way, your wife's
and at the
doing
end of
heroin.
Yeah.
Well, can you look? You guys
And
were there.
at the end of that story, though, is that when Emo was there, he was with Judy Tenuta, and that's when Elaine met Judy, and they became fast and lifelong friends right up until Judy's death.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And here's what I don't understand. I grew up in like New York is kind of the big deal, but in the mid '80s, even into the early '80s, Boston becomes this hotbed.
Yep.
Where all the new comics are coming out of Boston. You guys were there. What was going on? Why Boston? Was it just
There was a blue. I've always described Boston comics as a blue collar sensibility, and I can't explain to you why. But they had Lenny Clark, they had Steve Sweeney, they had Kenny Rogers, Stephen Wright. And by the way, you know why Stephen Wright got on the Tonight Show? Well, not why, he was funny, but how he got on the Tonight Show. Peter LaSalle, one of the producers, was in Boston looking at colleges for his son.
Okay.
And he asked somebody he knew, "Where can I go see a comedy show?" And they said the Ding Ho. It was a Chinese restaurant. Right. And downstairs was a comedy club, and he went. That's where he saw Stephen Wright, and Stephen Wright paneled, which was such a rare happenstance back then.
Oh, he was scared shitless. He got to sit next to Carson, and he couldn't quite figure out whether to stay in character or not. And he sort of stays in character, and it worked. It worked beautifully. And Carson said, "Well, that man's life is going to change come tomorrow morning."
I went to IHOP. And they have an advertisement that says pancakes anytime. And he said, "Well, how about waffles in the Renaissance?"
Your sign says open 24 hours. The guy with the broom says in a row.
Hey, I got
if 7-Eleven is open 24 hours a day, how come they have locks on the doors?
Anywhere is walking distance as long as you have the time.
Did you hear about the Denny's? Did you hear about the Denny's that had to close down for the pandemic and nobody knew where the key was because they had been open for 24 hours for like 25 years?
That's hysterical.
Wow.
Nobody knew where the key was to lock the Denny's. They had to go to
It's a small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it.
Very funny.
I sat down next to a blonde Chinese woman who said she was into Jewish cowboys. I told her my name was Bucky Goldstein.
I love that. I love that.
Bucky Goldstein.
Although I never understood why Bucky was a cowboy name, but that's okay.
Well, guys, that's our music, so you know what that means. We've come to the end of our 60 minutes, and
time to jerk off with Lauren Boebert's husband.
Okay, maybe that wasn't how I wanted to end the show, but thank you. No, I do want to
Okay.
I want to talk to you guys after we go off live, but everybody else, see us here next Monday night at 8 o'clock. Now, next Monday is a special show. I'm testing out Delta Airlines' new free Wi-Fi service because my flight takes off at 7:50 and our show starts at 8 o'clock. So that should be interesting. We'll see how that works.
Okay.
Interesting is a word.
All right, stay there, fellas. We'll talk afterwards. But for the rest of you, see you next week.